sorry. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. Today, we are kicking off the Power Ranking series. Man, I'm excited to get this started, and I hope you are too. We're going to be doing this in live stream edition, mainly because I don't have enough time to do like a long form video, because I can't really sit still long enough to make those. So we're just going to do it in live stream form so we can power rank all 32 teams. So let's get into it. So let's see here. Let's set it up here so you guys can see it. Here we are. We're going to be ranking these teams from 32 to number one, but we're going to be using tiers to give a little more depth on how good these teams actually are. And we're going to start with the bottom three. The bottom three is like the bottom of the barrel teams that are just set up for failure in 2025. Starting with number 32, Cleveland Browns. The Browns are in probably a really bad situation, as although they have like five starting caliber quarterbacks for 2025, none of them are really franchise quarterback level. And so they're kind of just stuck in a pickle. And I don't know if, you know, Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders is actually going to be the difference maker that the Browns hope they're going to be, or if Joe Flacco is actually going to repeat his career year of 2022, 23. So the Browns are just stuck in a pickle, in my opinion, mainly because of their quarterback situation. They're talented, but they are wasting away Miles Garrett's prime. Number 31. Come on, come on. This isn't working. New Orleans Saints. There we go. The Saints, in my opinion, are another team that is going to fail in 2025 because of their bad quarterback situation. Derek Carr just retired as of this morning, and eh, their quarterback situation is Tyler Shuck, um, Spencer Rattler, who I like, but is not really that great of an NFL quarterback, and Jake Hayner. So this is going to be a very, very interesting offseason, to say the very least, especially for the Saints. Just seeing who their QB is going to be this season. And then number 30, if I can get it up here, New York Giants. Come on, get up on the screen. Is it getting up on the screen here? I have no clue. Um, there we go. Took a little bit, but yeah, we got there. And yeah, that's the bottom three. The Giants are on the bottom three because their quarterback situation is also iffy. I think that's really what makes up the bottom three is teams that are just not super certain at the quarterback position. And for the Giants, they have two bridge options in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and they're both fine starting quarterbacks, which are both better. And I think both of those options are better than whatever Cleveland has. And they also have Jackson Dart. The Giants' quarterback situation is definitely better than the Browns' situation, but not by much. I think the Giants have a little more security at quarterback than the Browns do. Besides, I also like Malik Neighbors as a wide receiver, and their defensive line also looks pretty good with Abdul Carter and Brian Burns and who's the other guy? I forget. But they have really three really good rushers apart from the Browns one. I like the Giants' outlook better than the Browns and Saints, so they're at the top of the bottom three. Let's check the chat. Let's see what we got here. Relatable. I'm not being able to sit still for that long. Yeah, I'm sorry to you guys as well. I get that. Having, I have a brother who has autism, so on that spectrum, I get that. The Browns are cursed as long as Jimmy Haslam owns the team. I mean, ownership is definitely a concern for a lot of these teams. I'm looking at Dallas in this case, but we're going to get to Dallas later, but they've been making some surprisingly good moves. And then time to pay the piper, Mickey Loomis, or they're going to time to pay the piper, Mickey Loomis, or they're going to tank for Arch and hopefully not waste him like they did with his grandfather Archie. Oh, Malik Neighbors is a beast. Yeah, it's very interesting. I saw this mock draft that has the Saints taking Arch Manning, and I like it from like a story standpoint. Like they drafted his grandfather with the number one overall pick, and then they draft his grandson with the number one overall pick. It's like circle moment. But realistically, the Saints are not a really good team right now. Let's be honest. Malik is a beast. Yeah, he was a really good wide receiver this year. If he can continue taking some steps, he'll be a superstar. Sexy Dick. Man, the Giants front seven is loaded. I forget. Um, I think they have like two edge rushers, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter. I have no idea why they drafted Abdul Carter because their front seven is absolutely loaded. But that's just my opinion. Back to the tier list. Now we're getting into just the bad teams. And the bad teams are kind of made up of a lot. And yeah, there's a good chunk of bad teams. We're going to start with number 29. Come on, get up on the screen. I got to figure out how we get this guy up there. That ain't it. Oh, there we go. Just had to get rid of the ad. Um, so number 29 is the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are, in my opinion, a rebuilding team. They got Cam Ward, and I like Cam Ward, but at the oh no, ads, dang it. Uh, and they got Shador Sanders or sorry, not Shador Sanders, Cam Ward, and I like Cam Ward. I think he's a good quarterback, but I also think that Cam Ward is going to struggle a little bit, especially behind that Titans offensive line. And I think there's going to be a lot of growing pains for the Titans, and I just don't think this is the year for Tennessee to like make a jump and become a contender. But that's just my opinion. Number 28, Carolina Panthers. The Panthers, in my opinion, are the best of the bottom five, mostly because they have a lot of hope going forward that Bryce Young could develop. And I like Bryce Young because he's developing at what I would consider a more natural rate for a quarterback because he's not becoming a giant breakout superstar immediately, and he's not being a complete bust that isn't developing at all. He's somewhere in the middle, and I like that for a QB. I think it's okay for a QB to struggle a little bit and then get better over time. And I think that's what Bryce Young is doing, and I appreciate that. So I like what the Panthers are doing, but they're going to need to get some more done before I really trust them. Next up is the Jacksonville Jaguars at 27. Can get it into the right spot. Come on. There we go. Next up is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Jaguars, I like the Jaguars because they got Travis Hunter. And I don't think that I am not sure that the NFL will actually allow Travis Hunter to play two positions. So I'm a bit concerned for Travis Hunter in that regard because a lot of his game is around the fact that he can play two positions. So if the NFL doesn't let him do that, there could be some issues with his development. But I have faith that Travis Hunter will eventually get going. And as for the team in general, this is probably not going to be their year. They're probably going to finish at the bottom of the division. But I think that if they can get something going with first year head coach Cohen, I think Liam Cohen, Duval. then they've got some hope going forward for the future. And yeah, I think that's the main thing for a lot of these teams in the bad is they actually have hope apart from the bottom three teams. Next up is the New England Patriots, number 26. Yeah, number 26. And I think for the Patriots, I love what the Patriots did in the draft. They got offensive line, and that was their biggest need, I think, in my opinion. They got wide receiver in free agency. They just needed to beef up their offensive line and start getting their offense off the ground. And I think that works. And I like Will Campbell because he literally said he would die for Drake May, which is a bit extreme, but I like it, and I think Patriots fans liked it too. And so, yeah, I I like what the New England Patriots are doing as a unit. One thing a team that I don't like what they're doing, however, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, what is this team doing? At, they're dropped down from a playoff contender to number 25. Like, they're about to go into this year with either Mason Rudolph or Will Howard as their QB. And neither of those are good options. And they also traded away their best receiver in George Pickens. Yes, they got DK Metcalf, but let's be real. George Pickens is better than DK Metcalf, in my opinion. And so I don't get why you would trade away him to Dallas of all teams. You're only going to boost Cowboys fans' egos with that one. I don't get what the Steelers are doing, and they're kind of frustrating me. Another team that's frustrating a lot of teams and fan bases is the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers got better in the draft, and so teams are not clowning on them as much, looking at you, Pittsburgh. And I think the big problem, though, for San Francisco is they lost so many key players in free agency that they just don't look like a legitimate contender anymore. If Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, they're probably good for a playoff spot, but I think that's this team's ceiling. And now we're finally out of the bad teams. That was a lot of teams. At least that looked like a lot of teams. Let's go check the chat. All right. Kayvon Thibodeau. That's the guy's name. Kayvon Thibodeau. I feel like Seattle's in the good but not great tier. Um, where did I actually put that team? I don't know. We're gonna get to it in a minute, but you'll see. You'll see. Um, let's see. What else did this guy say? He has a lot to say. Tennessee's still in a rebuilding phase, but I don't know why Brian Callahan is still there at head coach. Guy looks completely overmatched. You just hope that David guy looked completely overmatched. Yeah, I mean Brian Callahan had a rough first season, but at the very least at the very least, you gotta let him like get a couple of years to like develop. I think I think a lot I think a bad thing for a team to do is kind of just put in a head coach, only let him play for 1 year, and then throw him away. I feel like that's a dumb move. Even if the head coach looks like out of kind of out of it, you have to let him develop a little bit. That's just my opinion. And then you got to hope David Tepper lets the football guys in the front office do their job with the Panthers. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Panthers are heading in the right direction. I do think they are. It's just taking them a little bit. And I was a mod for former Jaguars player from 2007 to 2013. Sadly passed away in 2022. Oh, that's sad. Pickens and Metcalf have the same skill set. Highly talented home run threats with suspect hands route running, known to crash out. I mean, sure, but then why not just keep Pickens? Because he's younger and like more because he's younger and like more he's got a higher ceiling, I think, than DK Metcalf does. Just my opinion. San Francisco is the Sisyphus of the NFL. Rolling that boulder up the hill only for someone to get injured and the boulder rolls down the hill and the 49ers have to start all over again. Yep. Yep, that's the trend for the 49ers is like even in the Super Bowl they kind of got injured and then they fell off during the Super Bowl kind of collapsing and then they had to start over again. And this year they had so many injuries that just completely destroyed them. Kind of like Detroit, except the thing is Detroit kind of just like sucked it up until the playoffs and then they finally collapsed against Washington. Whereas the 49ers couldn't do that. And yeah, I think that's it. Uh, next up we have the mediocre tier, which I believe goes for a little while. Yeah, goes for that amount. All right. Next up, starting off the mediocre tier, the Indianapolis Colts at number I forget. They're 29, 20, 27, 26, 23. Indianapolis Colts, I think. Yeah, it should be 23. Rounding out the bottom 10 is the Indianapolis Colts at 23. And I think the Colts are in a bad spot at QB, which is the main reason why I don't trust this team. I think there's a genuine argument for this team to be lower because at least with the Steelers, like they have some genuinely like elite pieces in place. And sorry, Michael Pittman, but you're not an elite wide receiver. No disrespect to you on that one, but I mean they've got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, a really solid defense. I like the Steelers and I like the direction they're going. The main thing for them is they have to figure out whether they've got their guy at QB. Are they going to be like are they going to figure out, okay, is Daniel Jones the guy? Is Anthony Richardson the guy? Or are we going to have to tank for Arch Manning? Let's see what we're going to have to do. That's the main concern for Indianapolis this year. Let's see. Next up is the Miami Dolphins at 22. The Dolphins are seemingly like, it feels like the Dolphins are just not in a good spot right now because they're looking to trade both Jalen Ramsey and Tyreek Hill. And it seems like they both won out, but no one's taking them because the NFL understands these guys are kind of divas. So they're trying to keep the divas out of their locker room. And I think the main thing for the Dolphins is if they can stay healthy, they are a force to be reckoned with. But they've had some trouble staying healthy as of late. That's the big concern is can this team stay healthy? If so, then they can be an actually like legitimate team to face come playoff time. Now, I'm going to get real spicy with this one. Number 21, New York Jets. Yes, I'm putting the Jets above Miami because I know a lot of people think that the Jets need a quarterback, but I actually love what the Jets have done this offseason. They brought in Justin Fields, who I love the Justin Fields signing for the Jets. I mean, mostly because he gets to reunite with former college teammate Chris Olave, who he already knows really well. And I feel like that system they're bringing up is a really good fit for Justin Fields. They also drafted O-line, which the Lions did a couple years ago, and that worked out for them. It just feels like all the moves the Jets are doing are pushing them in the right direction, but nobody's talking about them because they're the Jets. And sure, they're not going to be like playoff contenders. They're still kind of a mediocre franchise and a mediocre team, but they've looked very improved this offseason, and I got to respect them for that. Next up at number 20, yeah, is the Dallas Cowboys. Come on, they had to rise a little bit. If you get George Pickens to pair up with CD Lamb, you're gonna rise in the rankings. It's just that simple. They actually look like a team that could actually make a run for the NFC South again. And I'm saying that genuinely. I know that the Commanders and the Eagles are in their division, but the Cowboys, when healthy, are a really good team. They proved that. Just last year was a down year for them, in my opinion. Next up at 19, we have the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, they they seemingly win the offseason every single year, but it doesn't really matter if that doesn't develop into wins in the regular season. And I think for me, they have to actually prove that gonna that they can make the off-season champ actually relevant. Because it really hasn't mattered much up to this point that they've been off-season champs every year. Because they always find a way to disappoint their fans every year. So I won't trust Chicago until they can live up to the off-season champs name. Next up is the Arizona Cardinals. In my opinion, I said this on my podcast, the NFL Huddle podcast that you can go watch. I think the Arizona Cardinals had probably the best draft of any team, and I mean that. First, they got Walter Nolan, who I thought they were going to get in my mock draft, and think that is a absolutely perfect fit for Arizona. They need somebody in the trenches. And they also got the steal of the draft in getting Will Johnson at 47. How in the world did he fall to them? I have no idea. But at the same time, this is still not an elite football team. This is still a young team that is developing. They're not a playoff contender, but they're definitely on the right track. And I think basically all of these mediocre teams, Jets onwards, are on the right track. And I don't like that because I don't like the Cowboys or the Bears really. Don't let my friend Prefect see this video. He's gonna, say some stuff to me. Let's check the chat. All right. If Pittsburgh was gonna trade Pickens away, not drafting a wide receiver at any point made zero sense. Exactly. I still don't get why they traded him away. And there's this guy I watch on my feed. He's called I don't know. I think it's like something Productions, Burgess Productions. And he's a Steelers fan. He was extremely unhappy with the fact that they traded Pickens. And I feel bad for that guy. You can check him out if you want to, but I know it's like I don't get why they traded him away. Yeah, the Colts are in a bit of a pickle that the Saints were in a few years ago post Drew Brees. I think you could also make that comparison for the Colts. It's the post Drew Luck era. The Dolphins can't beat good teams or win in places under 40 degrees. Oh man. I mean, you're not exactly wrong there. They haven't really they couldn't beat Green Bay in Green Bay or Kansas City in Kansas City or Buffalo in Buffalo. So you've got a point there. And then let's see. Garrett Wilson, not Chris. Oh, yeah, fair point. Yeah. Right college receiver. Yep. My bad. My bad. I get it. I get it. The Jets are usually my punching bag in terms of teams to make fun of. I mean, they're pretty easy to make fun of because they're probably the most dysfunctional team in the entire NFL apart from Cleveland. Just in my opinion. Hey bro, how's it going?
Who's a dysfunctional team?
The Jets
I agree.
and the Browns.
I agree.
Just a bro checkup, I guess. Uh,
Did you know that I'm 97 years old?
You're not 70 years old, bro. You're like a
I
you're
said
carrying a gallon bucket of ice cream.
70.
Oh my gosh, dude. Go eat your stinking ice cream. Brian Schott Brian Schottenheimer isn't a particularly inspiring hire. Has apart from the George Pickens move, has Jerry Jones ever made a move that inspired fans? That's just what I think. Like I'm not entirely sure that that's something that, you know, this guy's particularly good at. But that's just me. I really should just switch off when I go to read the comment, when I go read the chat, just so you guys don't have to look at whatever this is. You know, this is kind of boring to look at. Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. Let's see, videos. There we go. Now I can read the chat. Let's see. You can just hope that Ben Johnson is the guy at head coach, but I have a hard time trusting Chicago. Again, that's what I said, so we're on the same page on that one. All right, back to uh back to the tier list. How long have we been going now? Half an hour. All right, lock in, guys. We're going for another hour. All right. Finally, we have reached the good but not great tier. Let's see. First up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I love what the Raiders did in the draft. I mean, I wanted the Raiders to draft a cornerback because at first I was like, I love Ashton Genty, but the Raiders are going to waste him away. But now the more I think about it, I'm more optimistic about Ashton Genty's future with the Raiders, and I like the pick better. Just Raiders, please don't waste this generational talent. Please. And next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons. What spot are we at now? 32, 33, no, 32, 31, 30, 29, 20, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. The Falcons are at 16, in my opinion, but that's just me. And then, let's see, the Falcons are at 16. And I think it's because the Falcons, after this offseason, look a lot better than they did coming out. That sounds so dumb, but I think you get my point. Like, they addressed basically all of their big needs this offseason in the draft. They got two edge rushers, and I love both of those picks. I know a lot of people didn't like the James Pierce Jr. pick, mostly because they traded up so much for him, and I could get that, but I had them taking James Pierce Jr. in my mock draft, so I'm happy with the pick. And James Pierce Jr. is just, it fills one of their positions of need. Really, both of those picks fill a position of need for them. And I love what the Falcons did because now they look like a legitimate playoff contender and a legitimate threat to the Bucks. And the Bucks really haven't had a legitimate threat in the NFC South in like a decade, it feels like. So I like that. I like that. Next up at 15, number 15, Los Angeles Chargers. I like what the Chargers are doing, but I won't trust the Chargers until they can actually get it done in the postseason. Yes, as I have it now, the Chargers are the 7 seed in my predicted, you know, draft thingamajig. You know, and you know what I'm talking about. In my little power rankings, they would be the 7 seed in the AFC. But at the same time, I'm not sold on this team until they can win in the playoffs. But that's just me. I love Justin Herbert. I just hope that he can actually like win a playoff game. I love Vlad McConkey. I love that entire team. Just they've got to deliver in the postseason before I can actually trust them. And then next up, number 14, just out of the playoffs, the LA Rams. The Rams are, in my opinion, a little too old, but I think they're one of the best old teams. Like the old teams are like the 49ers and like who else we got in the NFL is just old? The Saints and like these are like old teams with old cores, but I think that the Rams are one of those better teams. We've got more like actually good old cores later on, but as it stands right now, the Rams are one of the good old cores. They've got Javante Adams, Matthew Stafford, and some, and then other than that, they're actually kind of young. So now that I think about it, they're not that old. But you get the point. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the Rams because yes, they just went to the divisional round, but the number 13 team on this list feels like they just got a whole lot better this offseason, and I trust that they're doing just a little bit better. And that 13 team is the Seattle Seahawks. I actually like what the Seahawks did this offseason. Yes, they traded away Geno Smith, but they also got Sam Darnold and gave him a similar team to what he worked with in Minnesota. And they improved the interior offensive line, which he really didn't have in Minnesota, especially during those last two games. So I really like what I'm getting from the Seahawks. They've got their QB, their offensive line is better. If Jackson Smith and Jigba can become that number one guy for Sam Darnold, this team could actually make a push for the division title. And in my power rankings, I actually think they're better than the Rams. And I think they're the best team in the division. Leaf, I think they are the best. Leif, I think the Seahawks are the best team in the NFC West. I will say that right now. But that concludes the good but not great tier. Just in my opinion, this is a very vast tier, but I think it's a good tier. And then let's get to the top 12 teams. Let's go. Um, let's check the chat first, actually. So let's put this right there. Now let's check the chat. Chat, check the chat. Um, You can do a lot worse at QB than Geno Smith. Felt like he was overhated by Seahawks fans. Also wishing nothing but the best for Pete Carroll in Las Vegas. Yeah, kind of older quarterbacks get hated on a little more because, everyone's claiming that they're washed. You know what I mean? Hoping Michael Penix Jr. balls out this season. Loved his time at the University of Washington. Big Husky fan. Yeah, I like Washington too. I mean, I liked Penn State. That was my favorite college football team for like years. And they were like, and I will always remember Michael Penix like diving 2-point conversion for Indiana that beat Penn State. So in a slight way, I have a grudge against Michael Penix, but I do actually love Michael Penix as a player. I love his game. I love what he brings to the table. He's a great player. I really do hope that he shines with the Falcons, and he showed flashes last year. The Chargers kicker actually got interviewed by Tom Grossi and Brandon Perna this past Wednesday. Love me some Cameron Dicker. Yeah, I feel like I will always remember that Chargers special teams play against the Texans where they had that massive touchdown with Vlad McConkey, and then their extra point got blocked. Yeah, plus the Geno hate kind of feels like Seattle being kind of spoiled by Russell Wilson. Yeah, I mean, I think the Seahawks made the right decision though by getting rid of Geno Smith, or sorry, by getting rid of Russell Wilson for Geno Smith. That was the right decision. But yeah, I know from experience never to underestimate Sean McVay and the Rams, no matter how weak they seem. Yep, you can't really you can't really count out the Rams. I don't like that the Rams do this every year. They always look like they're down and out, and then they always make a run at the end of the year to like sneak into the postseason. That's what they've done back to back years now. I don't like it. It's not cool. Be bad or be really good. Don't make those comebacks. They're kind of aggravating. 13th, I'll take it. Yeah. 13th is your spot. Okay, I'll take that. We certainly hope Seattle wins the division, but we shall see. I think that they are the best team, but I will probably get some hate from that. But yeah, let's hello. Welcome my sister to the stream.
I don't have anything to say. I just wanted to be here, right? But brother.
They already know about you, bro. You're the same guy who walked in here with your old man accent.
Hey. That, no, I have prepared the speech.
You have?
Yes. Wait, can I get
Fine. Take
okay.
it.
Here. So, check. My
Stop doing that.
my oldest one has graduated today.
Cool. They don't need to know that, bro. Stop. You can go away now. Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Goodness sakes. Let's get back to the tier list. Go away. Go away. I love you guys, but stop. All right. On to the borderline elite. Number 12, Denver Broncos. I know a lot of teams are high on Denver, and I can see why. Like, they've got their guy at QB, and I like Bo Nix too, but come on, this is not a top 10 team. This is a team that got demolished by the Bills 38-7. I don't know which. I think it was like 38-7 in the wild card round. And yes, they got better in free agency, a little better in free agency, but this is still like a playoff winning team at best, in my opinion. But they're still a really good team that's around top five, in my opinion. Number 11, just outside of the top 10, but I love what they've done this offseason, the Cincinnati Bengals. I know a lot of teams are down bad on the Bengals right now because their last two seasons have been bad. But when this team is on their game, they're one of the best teams in the NFL, in my opinion. Yes, there's concerns about their defense, but they went into the draft and made that unit way better. And I mean way better. They got they got Shamar Stewart, who maybe it was a bit of a reach, but I love that fit for the team. They needed to go defense, and they got defense, and I like that. So I have a lot of optimism for the Bengals, who are one of my favorite teams personally. I will admit there's some bias from me for the Bengals. Ah, why can't I click this ad off? Dang it. Oh, whatever. All right. I don't like to admit it, but Tom Grassi, the purple incarnation of you know what, comes in at 10. Ah, hmm. um, the the Vikings did really well this offseason. I will admit that. They made the right choice by letting Sam Darnold walk in free agency and not gambling by spending a ton of money to bring him back. They did the right thing by going younger at QB. I I think I didn't like JJ McCarthy a year ago, but I have faith that McCarthy could develop well at a high level. So with a good offensive line, he could actually be a pretty good QB. Stop touching me. Where are you? Get out of here. Drop a like if you want them to leave me alone. All right. Mm, yeah, I like what the Vikings did in the offseason. End of that. End of that segment. Number 9? Yeah, number 9. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucks are, in my opinion, still by far the best team in the NFC South. I like what the Falcons did, and I do think they could contend for a playoff spot or a division title. But I do think that the Buccaneers are the better team, just in my opinion. And I do like what the Bucks have done this offseason. They didn't do anything drastic, but what they did do, I liked. I just can't think of what they did right off the top of my head. But I do trust Tampa Bay to once again win the NFC South because they do it every year. And despite the fact that I like what Atlanta did, they'll probably disappoint, just like every NFC South team does, except for Tampa. Oh boy. Why do I have to put all my division rivals in the top 10? Now we put the green incarnation of the devil at number 8. I'm sorry, Tom Grassi. I don't like your team. You're aware of this. At least if you watch my YouTube videos, you're aware of this. The Green Bay Packers come in at number 8, though. I hate this team. They got Matthew Golden. At least he gets to wear an ugly number. That's cool. Just makes Packers fans a little aggravated on that one. But I don't know. I mean, I I like what the Packers did this offseason. I like what the Packers did this offseason. They got a wide receiver that they really needed. Stop touching me! I'm in an aggravated mood right now. They got a wide receiver that they really needed, and they're they're looking like a legitimate contender for the. No, I'm not going to bring myself to say that. That's disgusting. But next team. Ugh. Next up, I think it's like number 7, the Houston Texans. I know the Texans like I know that everyone's kind of down bad on the Texans because admittedly it does feel like that the front office kind of hates CJ Stroud because they're trading away all his pass blockers, but I do like the Texans as a team, and they've got a probably the easiest division in all of football. Like, there is not a single team on this list. All of their division rivals are bottom 10 teams, in my opinion. They should easily three-peat as division champions without any difficulty. And I'd be shocked if anyone came even close in their division to stopping them. So, in that regard, they've got a really easy 6 games this year. And that should be at least enough to get into the postseason. And as they've proved, they are no they are no slouch in the postseason. Next up, number 6, Washington Commanders. I love what the Commanders did this offseason. They got a little bit better at about every possible position. And I like that. I like that. You know, they got better all around. They protecting Jaden Daniels, which the Texans need to take notes there because they're not doing that. But I like the Commanders. If they can continue growing, they will legitimately become like a top 5 team in a short while. But that's the end of the borderline elite tier. It's the longest tier up to this point. Let's go and let's go check the chat, my friends. Let's go check the chat. All right. Let's see. Yeah, that's why I call the Rams the zombies. They won't die. Although, as we all saw in the divisional round, the weakness of zombies as they aren't effective in the freezing cold. 31-7 in the wild card round. But yeah, Denver isn't quite top 10 just yet. Maybe with the new Pope being from Chicago, the purple incarnation of Satan gets cursed. In all seriousness, Minnesota's success depends on JJ McCarthy. Yup, I 100% agree with that. Their success in 2025 100% depends on JJ McCarthy. I can 100% agree with that. Sibling shenanigans every dang time. LOL. You have siblings too. You get it. You get it, my friend. You get it. No move. No move. Boom, 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 boom. Stroud, 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 Stroud. Boom, 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 boom. Stroud, 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 Stroud. Boom, boom, boom. I get it. I like the scripted show too. I get it, man. The culture is actually pretty dang good for the Commanders. the good team plus getting the new stadium on the old grounds of the RFK Stadium. Excellent work. And Dan Snyder continues to maul. Yep. The Commanders are such a feel good story because they were stuck in dysfunctionality and then their savior came in. I know you said it at some point here. Let's see. Let's see. Probably let's see. Yeah, Josh Harris. Yeah. And then their savior, Josh Harris, came in and saved them. So, yeah, that's just good stuff there.
No come in.
No command. Got it. Cool. Great. I wasn't going to come in, though. And then, yeah, I think after that, the culture there got good the and they've just gotten better and better with each year. Like, of course, they did have that one year where it was like they didn't do that great and they had a lot of question marks. It was like Ron Rivera's last year, and they were kind of like fiddling around with Sam Howell at QB, and then we kind of just forgot about that after this year because Jaden Daniels came in and was basically the savior of the franchise, and Dan Quinn beat Stan Campbell, the Dans. The Battle of the Dans and my Dan lost. Not again. We're not talking about that right now. We're not talking about that right now. We ain't talking about that. Let's see. Um, yeah, two sisters, one older, one younger. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Let's get back to, let's get back to the tier list. All right. Let's see. We have entered the top five, and I said it's like borderline elite. The top five teams are, you could also call it the elite teams. Starting off with number five, the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Baltimore Ravens are really, really good, but they just have not delivered in the postseason. All four of these upcoming teams have done mostly pretty well in the postseason. They've carved out like some decent playoff runs, and they've solidified themselves, in my opinion, as like legitimate top five contenders. And I'm not saying the Ravens aren't contenders; they're contenders every year. I think the I think the Ravens are one of the best teams in the NFL, and I don't think that's really up for debate that much. I'm not. I don't think though that I don't think that the Ravens are as good as the next four teams, particularly because the number four team on this list is the three-time Super Bowl champion in the last decade, Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't think the Ravens are better than the Chiefs. You know why the Chiefs are in the top five. I think they went down mostly because of how embarrassing their Super Bowl loss was. We can only hope that that is the start of their downfall. But we all know what this team is capable of. Number three, Detroit Lions. Now, I know a lot of people want to put the Lions at like number two, but I don't think the Lions are top two. I don't think they're up there with Philadelphia. And that's just my opinion. Like, these top three are so interchangeable. The Lions, though, the Lions are easily the second best team in the NFC. And yeah, they are the second best team in the NFC, and it's not debatable. It It feels like though they need to find a way to jump from second best to best somehow, some way. They're trying to do it through building up the trenches, and I like that. We need to build up our defensive line more and offensive line more, and that's good. Number two, Buffalo Bills. In my opinion, you could take the top three and you could flip them, and I would be good with it. Or you could put the or you could put the actually, yeah. Yeah, you yeah, these top three here. You could do it like this, or you could do it like this, or you could do it like this. And any of those ways, I would be okay with that. Because these three teams are so interchangeable, in my opinion. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to clear this ad so you guys can see the logos. It's not working. Let me see. Should I scroll down a little bit? Look, I should scroll down just a bit. No. Okay. Let's see how that's looking. Oh no.
I heard my real speech.
Oh wow. What do you got?
In this video.
There we go. Okay.
We'll this one.
Okay, cool. Can you go away? That's not something they need to know, okay? Just go, go. Go. That doesn't really matter to them much. Let's see. Yeah, as I said, these three teams are so interchangeable, but I put it like this, just because I don't think the Lions are number two, but I don't think they're number four either, so I did it like this. And finally, number one, you all knew it already before you even clicked on this video. It was Philadelphia. Like, come on, you all knew it was Philadelphia. I don't even really have to tell you. You just know. And that's the tier list. That's the power rankings. 32 Cleveland Browns, 31 New Orleans Saints, 30 Giants, 29 Titans, 28 Panthers, 27 Jaguars, 26 Patriots, 25 Steelers, 24 49ers, 23 Colts, 22 Dolphins, 21 Jets, 20 Cowboys, 29 Bears, 19 Bears, 18 Cardinals, 17 Raiders, 16 Falcons, 15 Chargers, 14 Rams, 13 Seahawks, 12 Broncos, 11 Bengals, 10, 10 Vikings, 9 Buccaneers, 8 Packers, 7 Texans, 6 Commanders, 5 Ravens, 4 Chiefs, 3 Lions, 2 Bills, and 1 Eagles. But that is my power rankings. Final check of the chat before we go. By the way, thanks for Mike McDonald, Baltimore. Mahomes looked like Trubisky with that offensive line. Yeah, I feel like a quarterback is really as good as their offensive line is. And I think that's definitely true with is even with Jared Goff and like Jalen Hurts. If they didn't have their offensive lines, they wouldn't be as good. And even Mahomes wouldn't be as good without his offensive line. The Lions need to shake off that Bobby Lane curse somehow. Hey, we're doing it just slowly. That Peyton Manning video where he blew off the curse, it's working just very very slowly. Regardless of what they do against Kansas City, no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Here's hoping they can break the alarm clock Groundhog Day style. Until further notice, the Eagles are the class of the NFL right now. Yup. I didn't think I'd be saying that in January. I didn't think I'd be saying that in January of 2024 after that collapse, but here we are. Solid power rankings. Hopefully, I can join an interview of some sort. Would love to talk some more about football. Hey, if you want to do an interview, we can do that. Absolutely. I would, I'll have to figure out how to do that, but we could definitely do that if I could figure out how to do that. But yeah, and to everybody else, if you want to join the channel, I'm more than welcome to let you onto the show. I would just have to, it'd be a little difficult for me, but I could get it done, hypothetically. But thank you for watching. That will be all for today. And Jesus loves you guys. Thank you so much for